I'm Benny Fluman, and this is MATCH B2B Insights. I'm joined by Brian Newman. Welcome to the show. If your outbound engine is built on weak signals, all you've really done is automate bad timing.
Yeah, and let's just say it clearly. Even the smartest AI on Earth cannot save a bad list. It just helps you insult the wrong person faster.
That is the whole point. Most B2B teams think the failure is messaging. They say, we need better copy, better personalization, better sequencing. Maybe, but usually the failure happened earlier. They targeted the wrong account, at the wrong moment, with the wrong context. The first message was never the real starting point.
So when you say signal, make it concrete, because people hear that word and suddenly everybody sounds like they're running a spy agency.
Signal is simply buying context, something that suggests the account may actually care now, not someday, now. And Onfire's move is interesting because they did not come to market saying, we'll help you write prettier outreach. They came in with a much sharper thesis. Better outreach begins before the message, with better signals.
Before subject line, before cadence, before the poor SDR opens tab number 47 and starts pretending, noticed your recent momentum as a personalized opener.
Exactly. And that sounds obvious after you hear it, which is usually a sign the framing is strong. The reason it matters is that technical buyer markets are brutally unforgiving. If you're selling software infrastructure, cybersecurity, FinOps, observability, these buyers are overloaded, skeptical, and context-heavy. They do not reward generic relevance theater.
I want to grab that phrase, relevance theater, because that's what a lot of outbound has become. You mention a funding round, maybe a cloud migration keyword, maybe you congratulate someone for breathing oxygen, and you call it account research. But an engineering leader or security leader can smell fake context immediately.
Right, and this is where Onfire is a useful case. Their proposition is data first and vertical, not horizontal, intelligence for everyone. Not another broad promise to improve pipeline across all categories. They are very specifically building for software infrastructure companies going after technical buyers. That narrowness is not a limitation, it is the moat.
Let me push you on that. Lots of founders hear narrow and panic. They think, if I define the ICP too tightly, I shrink the market.
Confuse reachable market with total fantasy. Very common problem. A narrower wedge often creates faster trust because the buyer feels seen. Onfire is saying, we understand the specific GTM challenge of selling complex products into high-noise technical environments. That's not small, that's precise.
And precise wins meetings. I mean, in SDR land, precision is oxygen. If I know why this account matters now, I can build an email, a call opener, a LinkedIn touch, whatever, that feels commercially sane. If I don't know that, I just spray words and hope someone's calendar suffers a lapse in judgment.
And that's the deeper tension here. People love to talk about outreach quality as if it lives inside the rep. Sometimes it does. But often the rep is downstream from a strategic flaw. Weak data in, weak prioritization, weak timing, weak narrative, then leadership wonders why conversion is inconsistent. That is not a rep problem. It is a GTM architecture problem.
Which is why I like this story. It's not AI writes emails. Honestly, the market has enough of those. This is more like, can we identify which accounts deserve human attention before we spend human attention on them?
And now the part that makes this a GTM move, not just a product launch. Onfire emerged from stealth in October 2025 with $20 million in total funding, including a $14 million Series A led by Grove Ventures and TLV partners. Early customers included Sierra, Ivan, Port, ActiveFence, and SpectroCloud.
I want to stop on those names. Sierra, Ivan, Port, ActiveFence, SpectroCloud. That's not random logo wallpaper. Those are serious companies in technical markets. So the market is not just clapping for the press release. It's saying, okay, somebody with difficult buyers is already using this.
Exactly, and that distinction matters. PR visibility is not GTM success. Visibility can create awareness. It does not prove message market fit, proof of value, or adoption in the right segment. What makes this case stronger is the sequence. Defined market, credible wedge, early customer proof, then amplified legitimacy. In simple terms, Onfire helps revenue teams identify which technical accounts are showing real buying context, connect those signals to the right people and companies, and decide where sales should focus now. And according to the company, the platform has already influenced more than $50 million in closed deals during its first year of beta. That does not prove everything, but it is a strong early signal that the market pain is real.
And there was a prequel before all of that. The founders interviewed around 275 revenue leaders before they wrote code. 275. That's not casual discovery. That's basically saying we're going to learn the pain pattern from the market before we decide what the machine should do.
Yes, and that number, 275, is probably the most important fact in the whole story, because it tells you the company was built thesis first. They did not build a tool and then go hunting for a narrative. They validated a GTM insight first. Technical buyer teams were struggling, not because they lacked channels, but because they lacked a dependable signal layer.
Let me try to explain it back. So the real product is not just software. The real product is a point of view. Outbound to technical buyers should start from account level buying context, and the platform operationalizes that point of view. Is that fair?
Almost. I'd sharpen one part. The point of view is the wedge. The software is what makes that wedge executable at scale. Without the point of view, it's another data product. Without the product, it's a nice LinkedIn opinion. The combination is what gives them category energy.
That's good, and it's also why their positioning feels different from generic sales intelligence. They're not saying, here's more data. Everybody says that. They're saying, here's the data layer designed for software infrastructure companies selling into high-context technical environments. That's much harder to dismiss.
Right. They are narrowing the frame on purpose. Infrastructure, cybersecurity, FinOps, observability, these categories share a commercial problem. The buyer is technical. The noise level is absurd. The solution cannot be generic enrichment plus generic sequencing. So Onfire's GTM becomes educational. It teaches the market that more outreach is the wrong question.
Yes, and that teaching function is huge, because once you educate the market to judge outreach by signal quality, suddenly the conversation changes. You're not being compared only on copy assistance or workflow automation. You're reframing the buying criteria.
That is category work. And they seem to understand the mix. Data-first positioning, clear comparison framing, customer proof from recognizable companies, and PR used as legitimacy infrastructure, not vanity theater. In other words, media is supporting the thesis, not substituting for it.
I like legitimacy infrastructure, because founders often mistake attention for traction. They see coverage and think the market has moved. It hasn't. A headline is not a pipeline. A stealth exit is not a repeatable go-to-market motion. October 2025 gave Onfire visibility. The real question is whether the market now internalizes their thesis.
And that is where CEOs need to be ruthless with themselves. If your signal layer is weak, no amount of outreach automation will fix it. The system will only scale noise. Faster emails to worse targets is not innovation. It's a more efficient form of irrelevance.
The machine gun version of bad timing.
Pretty much. The CEO lesson is simple and uncomfortable. Before you buy another outbound tool, ask whether your team actually knows why these accounts, why these people, why now. If the answer is fuzzy, stop. Your problem is upstream.
And if you get that upstream layer right, then messaging, SDR execution, sequencing, all the fun stuff I live in, starts to work the way people hoped it would in the first place.
All aligned into one revenue motion that moves from insight to qualified sales meetings.
And I'm Brian Newman. Go fix the list before you fix the template.